I've used Code Igniter, I've used Symfony.
Mm,
They didn't really feel like they would work with the kind of things that
yeah,
we were doing.
exactly.
And I happened to fall on Laravel. I read through the documentation and I just
Hmm.
fell in love like straight away. Once we're happy with that, we add it
Right.
to Taylor's inbox. So he gets a list every day of things that he needs to look through from the team.
Oh, wow.
And then he will have a look at that message, sort of decide whether he wants to add it or not, or whether he needs some more information from us.
Mhm.
And then eventually we'll say, like, yes, we'll do it, or no, we're not going to do that right now.
Laravel was one of the frameworks for the usability part.
I am unbelievably excited for many reasons. One
Yeah.
is that this will be the biggest talk that I've ever given, which is
Wow.
both very scary and very exciting. Two, I get to see all of my friends from the community that I've seen at various conferences, which I'm
Yeah.
always excited to do. And three, I get to meet a whole bunch of new people as well, which I find
That's good.
really exciting.
Right. Have you ever been in India or in Asia?
No, no,
So it's your first time.
yes, which is even more exciting. It's all new.
Really great. Yes. So you will going to see amazing culture, amazing people, and amazing food as well.
Yes.
And uh, whenever I start the podcast, I start with some funny words. So generally, all the guests here will be from other country, other languages. Even from India, people are from different region with different
Yeah.
languages. Now, what's your native language? And just teach me one funny word from your language. Then I will teach one Hindi word to you so that you, when you will be here in India, you can use that and just show off something.
Okay, so long as you don't get me in trouble with it, that's okay.
Sure. Obviously.
So I'm English from United Kingdom, so it's British
Wow.
English.
Wow.
The
Great.
King's English now. And
Yeah.
one funny word that probably shenanigans. Um,
Wow. It's new one.
it's
Shenanigan.
that's yeah, with an S on the end.
Oh,
Shenanigans.
shenanigans.
Yeah, which means to create like mischief and oh, just creating shenanigans, like up to no good.
Okay.
Um,
Uh,
yeah.
so, any example of the situation where I can use the shenanigans?
Um, let's say everything's going wrong and you're, I don't know, some code deploy's gone wrong, like I've just come from. Um, you could say, it's just created shenanigans.
Okay. Okay. That's good. Maybe I'll also do some Google search for this word.
Yeah.
Anyways, it's now my time. I have a really nice word for you. A little difficult, maybe. I don't know. So it's like khatarnak. Can you can you pronounce it?
Kurt, Kurt,
Khat,
Kurtanak,
khatar, khatarnak.
Kurtanak.
Yeah.
I feel like I'm
So it's
butchering the
like
word. Kurtanak.
KH. It starts with the
Kurt,
KH. So KHATAR. Khatar
Kurta,
and nak. NAAK. Nak.
Nak,
You can nak.
Nak. Yeah,
Khatarnak.
Kurt,
So
Kurtanak.
khatarnak can be used as like it is like dangerous, but in
Okay.
sometime we call like, oh, this is really awesome. So we will like, oh, this is khatarnak. So khatarnak is like whenever you get surprised,
Yeah.
so you say, oh wow, this is khatarnak.
Would you use it like a daredevil type thing? So if you were like
So
climbing up a tree or something, or doing a jump over some buses, would that be Kurtanak?
yes,
Or is
yes,
it?
yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, so if you have a movie, action movie, and some hero is doing a really amazing action or a dangerous action, you'll say this action is really khatarnak.
Okay. I like it. That's a good
So
word.
maybe if you like some talk from Laracon India, you'll say this talk is really khatarnak.
Like deploying, like copying a file to the server rather than having a like continuous integration would be Ketanag.
Khatarnak, right? That's good. This is called a
Yes.
developer's mind. Right. Really, really nice. So after this light note, let's get back to something amazing. So James, you have a amazing podcast called Happy Dev. So I just
Roughing
want
that
to
today.
know,
Yep.
yeah, and I have heard some of your podcast, and you talk about the mental health of the developers and the people from our industry. So how you came up with the idea of creating this kind of podcast, and
Hmm.
what motivates you, plus why the Happy Dev, the
Yep.
name.
Okay, so a bit of backstory, and we're going to take a slightly serious tone for a second. My
Mhm.
brother took his own life in 2018,
Oh,
at just 18 years old, and
sorry about that.
thank you. One of the things I went to counselling, and my therapist had said you need to put some your energy into something that isn't just programming. Try and find
Hmm.
something different and create something that you can like remember and buy, or like turn this negativity into a positive type thing,
Good, good
and
one.
help you deal with it, which is great. And I was
Mhm.
thinking, well, the only thing that I'm actually half good at is software development. I'm not a creative person, and
Mhm.
my therapist was like, "Well, if you think about it, you're taking nothing every single time you start a new project, and then you're coming
Mhm.
out with something at the end. You are creating. So
Right.
you are a creative." And I've like lied to myself my entire life. Um, so at the time, I was getting really into podcasts as well, and I was thinking I could probably do that.
Mhm.
Maybe I just kind of talk about people's mental health, because that's kind of something that's very important to me prior to losing my brother.
Mhm.
But so yeah, I started like a little demo, just to see whether I could even record and speak and edit things well enough to be a
Right.
podcast. Um, and yeah, I reached out to a couple of members of the Laravel team, Dries and Mohammed at the
Mhm.
time, and said,
Yeah.
"This is what I'm trying to do. This is like
Mhm.
a little demo. Would you be happy to be part of it?" And
Mhm.
yeah, it kind of turned into something a lot bigger than I thought.
Mhm.
The reason it's
Yeah.
called Happy Dev is just because I want people to be happy, and I was speaking
Right.
to developers, so Happy Dev.
Yeah. So you have talked to many people in this podcast. What is the one thing you can suggest to the developers or the people who are listening to have their good mental life and not having any mental issues?
Yeah, so probably the biggest thing. Well, one of my takeaways was from Jess Archer, who's now a colleague of mine. She suggested that she does one thing every day as part of a routine. So she gets up, makes a bed, and if she makes a bed, then
Mhm.
which is such a small and simple task,
Smaller thing.
but if she
Yeah.
does it, then she knows that
Mhm.
she's at least accomplished something meaningful in the day. And it typically it sets her up to do good things every day as well. And
Mhm.
yeah.
Yeah. So actually, this is like a book I already have called "Make Your Bed" from a SEAL, I can say, officer
Yeah.
who has given a really nice talk on this, and it says like if you start your day by maintaining your bed, which gives you motivation to do things really in a clean way, neat way, and the benefit of that is that when you come back to your bed after full day of exhausting, then
Yeah.
you will find your bed really clean, and that will help you that will help you to have a very nice sleep. So
Yeah.
a single thing, a very very small thing, can change your life, can change your day drastically. So I really
Yeah.
relate with
Absolutely.
that. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think everyone should start their day with making their bed.
Yeah, I
Very
agree.
good.
In fact, I did start doing it for a while after Jess suggested it. Um,
Mhm.
Unfortunately, it didn't last that long, and I try and
That
remember
happened.
to do it, but it's not enough of a routine yet. I need to get back into it. But yeah.
Yeah, I also tried, but as you said, sometimes we miss. Sometimes we miss. But
Yeah,
it's good that at least you try, and at least
yeah,
you try to make your life better. Even if you try, someday it's going to happen. If you are not even trying, that's never going to happen.
yeah, absolutely. It's very
Exactly.
important. Distinguish. Yeah.
Mm. Right, right. Okay, so let's make some happy things. Talk about some happy things. I just want to know the James from school days when James is not in the coding world, not in the Laravel. So, how about your like life from your school, then college, and how you landed into the coding and especially with Laravel?
Yeah, so I started programming quite young, like 7 or 8,
Seven,
and I
eight.
was
Wow.
reading the book. Yeah,
So I
um,
actually with this I think I don't have the question. So I was asking like before coding, and you said you started with the 4 and 5.
yeah, I've always been into it. I remember my mum got me a book on JavaScript, like very early JavaScript, and I
Wow.
was too young to really read kind of like the words of it. So I would copy out the code
Hmm.
and into Notepad, like hand type it all, and then just pull
Yeah.
it apart and figure out like, well, if I remove this line, what does this do? And kind of
Wow.
make my own things that way. Um, yeah, so I couldn't really read all of the
Amazing.
big words going on, but at least I could understand the code by
Hmm.
reading it.
Hmm. Hmm.
Um, and then
Which year was that? Around
um,
like roughly, if you can remember.
1998, 99.
Oh my God, 1990. At that time, I didn't know there is some software thing. There is computer. Forget
Yeah,
about the coding. Wow, you are advanced person.
yeah. I definitely didn't pursue it as much then. I just sort of tinkered with it.
Hmm.
It just found it something fun to do. Um, but yeah, if I had probably followed it closely, also JavaScript back then was definitely not anywhere near like it is today. So
Exactly.
I'm definitely not as good as JavaScript now as probably was back
Hmm.
then. But there's
Hmm.
also a lot more to know. Um, yeah, and then so that was in like primary school. So our first like year, ages
Yeah.
4 to 11 or 12, 10 or 11, depending on when you're born. And
Hmm.
then
Hmm.
went to high school, and um, yeah, I got more into programming then. I'd started writing little applications. I
Oh,
found a language called Game Maker. So I started making my own little games. And then,
wow.
yeah, and then I found a language called AutoIt, which was like a Windows automation language. If
Uh-huh.
you've not heard of AutoIt, you might have heard of AutoHotkey, which is
Hmm.
like a fork of AutoIt in a way. And
Okay.
then, yeah, I got massively into that, and then became like
Hmm.
very like um,
Hmm.
I got really integrated into the community, I guess, and was making lots of
Okay.
applications.
Uh-huh.
And then did some like I was 16 maybe, and I was doing some contract work with AutoIt, just
Oh
writing little
my God.
automated little applications. And then I went
Right.
to college,
Hmm.
and I studied a level. Well, I studied computing.
Yeah, obviously.
Yeah, that was where I was going. In my life, I've either wanted to be a stuntman, which was never going to
Hmm.
happen, or a programmer of some kind. Um, and then, so in this course, we did like different elements of programming. So it'd be like how
Hmm.
you use multimedia,
Hmm.
like Flash
Okay.
animation, and then databases
Yeah.
and web development and VB6. So I got like a lot of experience about different things. I realized that I wasn't very good at games programming
Hmm.
because I'm not
Hmm.
very good at maths. Um, so you tend to
Same
need
here.
that a lot, yeah.
Hmm.
um, and then, yeah, I left college early. I finished my course, but I left to go to my first job, where I did
Which year was that when you left the college?
2010. Um,
2010. Okay,
yeah, so I
nice.
was 18 or 19. And
Hmm.
then I went to be a IT support engineer, like help desk
Good.
support. And then at the same time, they were using VB6 for all their point of sale software.
Hmm.
Um, so I worked for a jewelry company, and they have different stores around the UK. And I was like, well, I can write VB6. Can I help with anything? So I
Right.
did a little bit of point of sale stuff, and I also made like a help desk application for us to store all of the
Mhm.
calls and logs that came in.
Which
And
language you
then
use for that?
that was VB6,
Oh, VB,
um,
Visual Basic.
Visual Basic, yeah. And then
Ah,
I left that job in. I was only there for 6 months, but then I started working on. I moved to a travel company, Blue Bay Travel, where I
mhm.
was there for almost 10 years, and that was all PHP, um,
Wow.
PHP, JavaScript, MySQL, and then over time we started like that. That consisted of a lot of different roles. So we were
Mhm.
writing like front end websites, customer facing stuff,
Mhm.
internal CRMs, uh,
Yeah.
content management systems, pricing
Mhm.
systems. It spanned like a lot of things.
Yeah.
And we picked up Laravel in 2014, I think it was,
Yeah.
when we were rewriting our CRM system. And I was
Okay.
thinking, up until that point, we weren't using a framework.
Mhm.
So I was like, we should really make this better. Like I know that there's things out there. I've used Code Igniter, I've used Symfony.
Mhm.
They didn't really feel like they would work with the kind of things that
Yeah.
we were doing.
Exactly.
And I happened to fall on Laravel. I read through the documentation and I just
Mhm.
fell in love like straight away.
Like
um,
everyone.
yeah. And I just spent like a couple of hours creating models for like quotes and bookings and customers and that kind of thing. And the
Exactly.
fact that I could just pull it all together and have like all of our existing data just mapped to models and I could just
Mhm.
see everything like coming together
Mhm.
really quickly. Just, yeah, never look back.
Amazing. Yeah. So, what's your feeling now? Like when you remember your days when you started with Laravel, have you ever think about, or even just a small idea, like you are going to be in the team of Laravel when you have
No,
started with Laravel?
no, no,
Never.
uh,
Oh.
no, never. Um, I just, I just like I picked up Laravel and I was reading through the documentation and I was just thinking like this is such a league above everything else.
Exactly.
It's so much better and it's so much better than I could ever be.
Hmm.
And it definitely picking up Laravel was definitely one of the like markers of my career of like this is
Exactly.
it made me a better developer, like a far better developer than I could ever have been without it. That's for sure. And I'm not saying that because
Yeah.
I work there now. It
Yeah.
definitely is
Obviously.
true.
Yeah, I can agree with that. Yeah. So now you are in Laravel core team, and we will talk
Yeah.
about the team and how you do things. But just tell me how you got into the team. It's not like obviously Taylor never have like raised any job posting like, "Hey, I need a team member." So, what's your journey into the team, Laravel core team?
Yeah, so I went to Laracon US in um, Arkansas. No, not Arkansas. Sorry, Louisville, um, and
Hmm.
also New York. It wasn't the PlayStation Theater, and I can't remember what year it was, but it was in
Okay.
Times or near to Times Square.
Uh-huh.
And each time I met Taylor, and I said, like he announced something, and I went up to him and I was like, "Hey, I think it was like the socialite was one of them." I was like, "Oh, I'll make a
Okay.
Twitter socialite thing,
Hmm.
socialite provider." Um, I never got around to it, but I had sort of shown my face to Taylor, and also I was a customer of Forge and Envoyer through Blue
Hmm.
Bay Travel, where I was working at the time. He announced Nova, and I was getting like into Nova creating issues and stuff. And
Okay.
also, I was working on a side project called Cache, which was a
Hmm.
status page system, which kind of blew
Yeah.
up like unexpectedly. So I feel like that kind of like planted the seed of my name
Hmm.
in different places. And then
Hmm.
I was listening to Taylor's podcast where he was just talking
Hmm.
about the state of Laravel and what's going on, that kind of thing.
Yeah, I remember
Um,
that was a really nice series.
yeah, I love those. It was such a good insight into what was going on
Yeah,
and what you
exactly.
could expect as well. And he sort of
Hmm.
mentioned that he would be looking at hiring somebody for Forge, maybe. So I
Hmm.
just messaged him and I was like, "Oh, if you're serious about it, I'd like definitely consider it." I didn't hear anything for a
Wow.
while, and then he messaged me saying, yeah, if you want to apply, like send me your CV over, which I did. And then he was like,
Yes.
yeah, cool. If you want to start, this is all the
Wow.
information. Let's go.
Superb, superb. It's really nice. And this inspire me. This inspire me with a one word, like if you try, once again, that's a one thing, like if you try, you can make it. If you are not even trying, you never going to make it. So
Yeah.
I can't even imagine in my dreams, like I can message to Taylor and Taylor will say yes to something. And that actually happened with me. Like
Yeah.
when I had created my in-depth Laravel course and I was looking for Taylor's approval, like a small testimonial from him. I was like thinking like how should I approach him? Like I am nobody in front of Taylor. Taylor is the creator of Laravel and I am just a content creator. How can I like email or message him? How do I reach him? But suddenly one day I realized that oh let's just email him and if he will reply that will be really going to be game changing for me. Otherwise my
Yeah.
life is going as it is. Then I emailed him and in the night I emailed in the morning I realized that he not only given me permission to like use his testimonial, he also retweeted my tweet for the course.
Nice.
And that was like life changing moment for me. I was like hey Taylor has replied to me. Really amazing feeling when you are thinking or when you are like idolizing someone and he directly communicate with you one to one.
Yeah. I would say that
Amazing.
Taylor's a very humble, down to earth person.
Yes.
And
Yeah.
if you
Yes.
contact him, the likelihood is he'll get back to you.
Yeah. So James, you are working with Laravel core team and you are handling the Forge and Envoyer. So firstly, tell me how is your experience with Forge and Envoyer, and then let me know what was the issue you have just fixed before starting this podcast. What was that,
Yeah.
and how you fixed it?
Okay. So yeah, I work on Envoy and Forge. Uh, both are excellent products. Both I'm customers of previously before joining Laravel and now
Yes.
as well, which I think adds to the sort of responsibility that
Hmm.
I have on those products. I want them to be good for everybody, including myself.
Right.
Um, yeah, so I predominantly spend most of my time working on Forge. We've made a
Hmm.
lot of progress in the last 2 or 3 years.
Right.
Um, like a dark mode, a command palette, new server
Hmm.
providers, Ubuntu 22 support, isolated users, multiple versions of PHP. Like all of those things have come in the
Right.
last couple of years.
Right.
And Envoy is still ticking along. We do have some plans for it, but we're just trying
Hmm.
to get Forge into a really solid place at the moment.
Nice. Great. And what was the issue you fixed just before this podcast?
Yeah, so for some reason, notifications had stopped being sent from Forge. So when you deploy a
Hmm.
site, you can trigger where you can opt in to have a notification sent if
Yeah.
it fails or if it's successful.
Hmm.
And they just stopped sending, and the queue got backlogged. And yeah, so I had to fix that, which was sort of a weird thing because our staging environment was all fine, and I
Hmm.
deployed to production, and it seemed to get stuck. So I had to
Oh.
roll that change back, restart the
Uh-huh.
queue workers, and yeah, everything started
Oh, so
going through again.
restarting queue worker is my go-to mantra whenever any notification are not working. I just go,
Yeah,
okay, it's not working. Let's restart. And if even after that it's not working, we will go and dig into the code.
yeah. Always start with a restart.
Yeah, that's the one thing. It's is it like when old days when our computer was not working, just hit the restart button.
Yeah, turn it off and on again. That's
Yeah,
it.
exactly same. So James, you are working with Taylor one to one, and suppose you are having a new feature request for the Forge or maybe for the Envoyer. So how you start with that and how Taylor involve in any features and how you work. And basically, I want to know like when you are working with someone like Taylor Otwell, what is the relation and how the things will go?
Yeah. Okay. So Many times a customer will send us a support ticket with a
Yeah.
feature request, and I sort of have a look at those, or Gus, our support engineer, will have a look at
Hmm.
them, make sure that we don't already offer that feature because
Okay.
sometimes those things get lost.
Hmm.
And then an issue will be created. Gus tends to create the issues more so because he's on support more than I am.
Okay.
And then I'll have a look at them and I'll sort of have a play with it maybe and just see whether it's going to be a quick thing to add
Hmm.
or whether we need to sort of plan it in a little bit more.
Right.
If it's a quick thing, I might have a little play with it and actually start
Hmm.
writing some code and seeing what the benefit is and also what
Hmm.
the negatives for that is. Is it going
Right.
to be hard for us to maintain that? Because we're a small team. Forge is a
Exactly.
big product, so we try
Super.
and kind of gauge that a bit.
Hmm.
And then
Right.
I will, for the bigger projects, I will create a Basecamp sort of message where we say like, this is the feature that we want to create. This is how we're going to do it. This is
Hmm.
why we want to do it. And then we have this like collaboration
Hmm.
time on there, so everyone on the team can see what everyone else is doing. Um,
Okay.
and I might get a message from Tim or Jess or Dries who
Hmm.
don't actively work on Forge.
Hmm.
Um, sorry, Tim works on Forge, but they might leave a message and say, "Oh, well, I think we could do it this way." And then once we're happy with that, we add it
Right.
to Taylor's inbox, so he gets a list every day of things that he needs to look through from the team,
Oh, wow.
and then he will have a look at that message, sort of decide whether he wants to add it or not, or whether he needs some more information from us.
Hmm.
And then eventually we'll say, like, yes, we'll do it, or no, we're not going to do that right now.
Hmm.
And then Taylor, we work on work cycles. So every 6 weeks we get assigned some new work, and then we sort
Okay.
of work through that list. Um,
Uh-huh.
and Taylor will add it to our list, whether we've
Hmm.
got time to do it now or whether we do it in the future.
Hmm.
And then when we start working on those features, we will create a new branch, we'll push it up to GitHub, and Taylor can review all of the code as well. So
Wow.
not only is he reviewing the open source side of things, he's also reviewing the internal products as well.
Exactly.
So he does have a lot on his plate. And
Hmm.
then, yeah, we all push it to staging for the bigger features and check it out, make sure we're happy
Hmm.
with it, and then we
Hmm.
deploy it.
To the production. Good.
Yeah.
Wow. This is like a really smooth cycle, and the flow is really like professional. And I like
Yeah.
that the tailor comes at the last when he needs to view the code and decide the final step. So he
Yeah.
doesn't like interact with all of the team daily or weekly.
No, he does. He's always
Hmm.
around if say I'm working on a feature and I can't, um, let's say I can't figure out how I want to work in Forge or the
Hmm.
messaging, or maybe I'm not sure whether we should add a new column or can we kind of like add a new
Right.
column to a table or something else. It's like some architectural stuff as well. I can message Taylor on Slack and talk to him that way, or add it to the message
Hmm.
thread or the GitHub issue, wherever seems right at the time.
Hmm.
But yeah, there's a lot of trust in the team to get the job done
That's
to a high
important.
standard at the right
Mhm.
time. Yeah.
Okay, good. Can you remember any funny incidents happened with the team like when you are working with the core team? Anything funny you remember?
There's a running gag where I did something stupid once. I can't remember exactly what it was. Um,
Okay.
I might have deleted some data from a table,
Oh my
which
God.
was just a stupid mistake. Um, and Taylor was very calm about it. We have backups, so we restored it from there, and I've been a lot more
Mhm.
careful since. Um, but
Wow.
we restored it, and there was a joke that I was then fired for being so silly. Um, and that's happened a couple of times, not on the same scale, but there's a running
Yeah.
joke that I'm constantly fired. I'm the most fired and employed team member at the moment.
Yeah, this is really funny, but you have to be careful, otherwise,
Yeah, it could be serious
otherwise,
one day, and I'll just be like,
yeah,
"Ha,
obviously,
yeah,
yeah,
sure."
it's a serious one, but now if it's not making that impact, we can laugh at it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so now James, let's move from Laravel to something you are working on. which
Yep.
is called Check Mango. You have many
Yep.
products, but recent one is Check Mango. So I have read on your website like it's A/B testing framework. Firstly, I don't know what A/B testing is. Tell me about that
Okay.
and what
Yep.
problem this Check Mango solves.
Okay. So A/B testing is the kind of time when let's say you've got an e-commerce website, you're selling something
Okay.
online.
Yeah.
Let's say you're selling a course, okay?
Yeah, that's good.
And on your landing page, you have a button that says "Buy now,"
Mm-hmm.
um, and you want to. It's working, it's getting sales through, but you think maybe I can do better than that,
Mm-hmm.
and then you start changing the button, and at the same time, you're changing content around the button as well.
Mm-hmm.
And you make the let's say you make the button red and then you make it blue, and you're
Mm-hmm.
also changing content. The
Mm-hmm.
problem that you have there is that you don't know which changes you're making are the ones that have the impact on the sales.
Right.
So A/B testing sort of says, right, okay, we're going to change one thing at a time, and we're
Mm-hmm.
going to measure how that works. So we've
Mm-hmm.
got a blue button currently. We want to try making it red. So
Okay.
you will have two variants, red
Mm-hmm.
and blue, and A/B testing is sort of part of that is to randomize
Mm-hmm.
who gets which button. And
Yeah.
then you have like a control, which would be your blue button that it is currently. So some people still get the blue button, but then other people will get the red button,
Right.
and you'll figure out which one is the one that's actually converting better.
Okay.
And once you get a statistical
Mm-hmm.
um, oh man,
Yeah.
I've just lost my words. When you get
Yeah.
statistical significance,
Exactly.
you can be confident that you either keep it blue or you change it to red. And then the next thing would be to change some text, and you would do the same thing
Mm-hmm.
again. And then each time you make a change and you commit to that change,
Mm-hmm.
you know that that is kind of having an impact on your sales.
Okay.
Um,
So what I get like A/B testing is like basically trying to change something and
mhm.
measuring the impact. Which one is doing
Yep.
better? Either A or
Yes.
B.
Yeah.
Wow. Good.
That's it.
Right.
And then, so Check Mango is my product that will help you do A/B testing.
Okay.
Um, and it does the sort of measurement of
Mm-hmm.
every time somebody clicks buy now, it sends something to Check Mango and that says, okay,
Uh-huh.
the red button has converted. And then my application
Uh-huh.
will tell you which one it is that's better. So there are existing solutions for this. There's quite big ones called Optimizely,
Mm-hmm.
VWO.
Mm-hmm.
Like there's lots of big ones. And in my old role, we were looking at Optimizely for our e-commerce website, our customer facing sites.
Mm-hmm.
And we had a quote from them that it was something like well over $100,000 a year to use it,
Okay.
which is just an obscene amount of money for a company that doesn't have that kind of resource. And at the end of the day, all we're doing is saying, here's two versions of something, which one is better?
Which one is better?
Um,
Yeah.
yeah. And now those solutions are really good. Like they are implementing machine learning, they have feature flags,
Oh.
they have customer buckets and funnels and lots
Mm-hmm.
of other things
Yeah.
that definitely make it worth that money for a lot of people. But the
Mm-hmm.
smaller businesses are just sort of priced out of that. So Check Mango is sort of like just that one feature,
Mm-hmm.
and it does it as well as it can do. So it's more smaller
Yeah.
companies can actually have
Use
access
it.
to it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay. Yeah, this is nice, really good, and it's all I think for more of the marketing, less of the developer
yeah.
product. Yeah.
It sort of fits in both really because
Mm-hmm.
a lot of times developers aren't the people that have the final say of what something looks like or how
Yeah.
it works. They're just putting the
Uh-huh.
pieces together.
Uh-huh.
So Chat
Okay.
Mango is built to be like a collaboration tool between the
Mm-hmm.
marketing team and the developers. So
Okay.
whoever it is that's responsible for
Mm-hmm.
design, so it could be a design team, can create an experiment and can say what that experiment should do. What is it that we're trying to do? We're trying to increase sales
Mm-hmm.
from the add to basket button or the buy now.
Mm-hmm.
And then each experiment has two or more variants. So
Mm-hmm.
the changes that you want to make, and they can have descriptions and notes about what that change is.
Yeah.
And eventually be able to upload images and stuff so you'd be able to see it a bit more
Mm-hmm.
visual. then the development team can come in there, get the different keys for each variant, the key for the
Right.
experiment, plug it into their website,
Hmm.
and then yeah, Checkmango does the rest.
Great. So you have a lot of like successful projects you have made. I just want to know what like how you decide the pricing for any product. Like you measure it with your competitors, or it just randomly decide by the hard work you have done for creating that product. How you decide the pricing?
I sort of look at what other people are doing price point
Mm-hmm.
wise.
Mm-hmm.
Typically, I go cheaper, but that doesn't
Okay.
always work. You can definitely outprice yourself or underprice yourself and then not make any money.
Mm.
With Checkmango, I've gone through several iterations of pricing, and it isn't even like production ready yet.
Okay.
Um, but I want people to land on the website and see
Mm-hmm.
what it would cost them. So I've reduced that down. I've tried to work out what like hosting costs would. So
Mm-hmm.
Checkmango has a fortunate problem in that the more customers it gets, the
Mm-hmm.
more visitors it gets because they all have to talk to the API and stuff. So if you were to get like Facebook using it,
Mm-hmm.
then that would cost a lot more to run than say, um, like I don't know, a small blog.
Yeah.
That it wouldn't cost a lot to.
Exactly.
It wouldn't cost a lot for Checkmango to handle those requests.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas there's somebody the size of Facebook, it would cost a fortune. So it has to
Exactly.
sort of scale with them. But then
Right.
like one-off products like social plots, which just tracks social media growth, well, that
Mm-hmm.
doesn't really
Mm-hmm.
cost a lot to run. And I try and keep that price lower.
Are you using CheckMango for the CheckMango for the A/B
Um,
testing?
I'm not currently, but I will be, yes, because
Yeah.
there are a few things that I want to check. Yeah.
Because products we create for first solving our own problem, and then
Yeah.
that become the product. So yeah, is this the case for you also?
Yes, for this. So with Checkman Go, I want to I've got a couple of different things that I run as well, but also I want
Hmm.
to see things in Forge and Envoy.
Uh-huh.
I want to test a couple of things.
Wow,
So hopefully I'll get to use it in there as well.
great. Nice. So James, you have a course on Forge for at Laracast. So tell me the
Hmm.
experience about the creating course, experience about the creating course, and how was the process, and do you have any other course lineup?
Okay, so I can sum it up in one word.
Sure.
Hard. It was really hard.
Yeah.
I mean, anyone that creates a course and puts content out there has my immediate respect because it really is
Right.
really hard to do. It's
I
very,
can
very
understand.
rewarding. Yeah, yeah, you definitely get it.
Right.
Um, so, like, I've watched a lot of Laracasts, and
Mm,
I was really honoured to be asked by Jeffrey to do a course on Forge.
yeah.
Marcel Posier had done the
Yeah.
original Forge course, so I was following
Mm.
big steps anyway.
Great.
Um, but yeah, it was it was very hard. So I sort of knew what I wanted to say about each aspect of Forge and
Mm.
every step of the way through it. And I was building up
Mm.
to sort of like, this is how we start with the server, this is how
Yeah.
we create sites, this is how we add our domain and
Yeah.
certificates. So I knew where I wanted to go with it. And obviously
Great.
I work on Forge, so I know the product inside out. So I didn't
Exactly.
think that I would have that much of a problem. And also, I've recorded a podcast, so I'm used to listening to my own voice and over again, editing things out. Um, but then when you add a screen recording into it
Hmm.
and you have to line up what you're saying with what you're doing, and then you're actually saying something but you're not moving the
Hmm.
mouse, and the next thing, it's just a nightmare to keep coherent and
Hmm.
yeah. But I'm really glad that's done, and I'm really glad
Yes.
that it's been as successful as it was.
I know. It's really hard, and many times it happened. Like I have recorded the full video, and when I start editing, I realize that oh, mic is off. I was like,
Yeah,
oh my god, I have to
yeah.
re-record everything. So
Yeah,
this happened.
I
Yeah.
had an issue as well with ScreenFlow where it would
Oh.
just stop and
Hmm.
I would be recording a whole episode. I try different ways of doing things. So I do it in like
Hmm.
little bits of a recording and then
Hmm.
start again. And I didn't
Hmm.
like that. So I just recorded all
Hmm.
of my mistakes, all of my attempts in one go. But I guess at some point I spent too long and
Hmm.
ScreenFlow would just be like, I'm out of here. And it would just close and I'd have to start the entire thing over again. And it was a nightmare.
Right. Yeah, it happened. Okay, so James, last question, and then we will wrap up. What do you
Okay.
think will be the future, like future technology? Which technology you think will be going to change the world in the near future?
Yeah.
And when I say
Um,
future, I mean say like after 10 years or 15 years.
okay. So I would say I've played around with Chat GBT,
Oh
and that
wow,
is mind blowing.
mind blowing.
I'm super impressed with it. I know again Marcel has been
Hmm,
showing what can be done with it with like
exactly.
WTF diff.ai,
Yeah.
and he's been building PHP Storm plugins, and like just the fact that you can take like books, you could get it to write a book for you, or you could get
Hmm.
it to understand the code that you've written and do something with it, or summarize code, or
Yeah.
create a summary of a Wikipedia page, or create something from nothing. Like it really is mind blowing. I
Hmm.
think in the next 10 years, it will just get bigger,
Hmm.
smarter, and more
Yes.
dynamic. And I
Yes.
think it'll also get cheaper and quicker as well. So
Exactly.
yeah,
So
I don't think we have anything to worry about in terms of jobs.
yeah,
I don't
it's
think it's
not
going to
that.
be taking any jobs away,
Yeah,
but
yeah. So have you ever
impressive.
like asked ChatGPT how to solve something in Forge?
No, well, not quite the same, but I do use GitHub Copilot. And so
Okay.
I have to say that's probably responsible for some of the code that gets written for Forge. Yeah.
Uh-huh. Yesterday I was something happened with my like code base on Laravel,
Yeah.
and I tried asking the Chat GPT, but Chat GPT was not that good in debugging the
Yeah. Not having
errors. So I said, "Yeah,
it.
I got my job back."
Yeah. You're not redundant yet.
Yep, yep, that's really good. Okay, James, it's really nice talking to you. I hope
And
people will
yourself.
also get some good insight from this, from starting from your podcast, then Laravel, then your contribution to Forge, and everything you said is really amazing. And I have learned so much from you. And one thing, if I have to take from this podcast, is like at least try something. If you are trying, you can make it. It's
Yeah.
really amazing. Thank you,
My
James, once
life
again.
motto. Oh,
Yeah,
sorry.
no,
Thank you for having me.
no. Your life motto.
Oh yeah, so my life motto, I always say, if you don't ask, you don't get. And
Yeah,
it's the same for trying. If you don't try it, it's not going to happen. So
exactly, exactly. So we are going to close this with one thing like if people want to chat with you, if they have some any question related to anything from your life, from your work, where they can reach you, and what's your Twitter handle?
yeah, so my Twitter handle, the username I use everywhere is
Mhm.
jbrooksuk.
Wow,
And then you can email me at jamesb@hey.com.
great, amazing. Thank you, James. Thank you, really.
Thank you very much for
Hopefully,
having me.
yeah, hopefully we will get back on this podcast. But before that, we are going to meet at Laracon India very soon.
Yes.